So there you have it. 18 months of hearings, testimony from over 100 witnesses, and the final foreign interference report has been delivered. It's been the talk of the town. Everyone's chatting it up. And it's a very long report. However, here are the key findings we discovered. And at this point, everyone's discussing the same things, which is the overview of the findings. There has been attempts on our democracy for foreign interference, but they've fallen flat. Nothing's really impacted the federal level. There are some isolated incidences of nomination races being impacted and local election results. BC. That's essentially what encapsulates all of it. There are some interesting details and nuances that, we can discuss, but overall, that is the focus. That is what the conclusion was. There are some MPs, some people who've worked in naive capacities, aiding without realizing foreign entities in an effort to circumvent our institutions here. But no one was actively working with foreign powers, is what Hogue shared. She shared that we have to realize that the threat is real. The focus of the world is on us. We're not just the boring little sibling anymore. People are interested in messing around with our institutions, and we have to take that seriously. And what the interesting part of it too was, most notably, it's been coming from Russia and China. The report comes down and people are all expecting, this is going to be, the left is loving it. Poilievre's done after this report comes out. He's so involved. India's been meddling. India's been pushing Poilievre. He's going to be thrown out as leader of the Conservative Party. It's going to be great. And nothing was even hinted at in that regard. So that was funny to see the disappointment there for the left. But as well, same could go for the right. Expecting some big things to drop out of the Liberal Party. Nothing really did. However, again, the issue was brought up. There are people who were acting in naive capacities who are then impacted by foreign interference campaigns. And so I'd just be interested in who those names are. Because if they were acting naively, as Hogue is suggesting, and they didn't do so with intention, then there's no criminal prosecution that needs to be worried about. There's nothing to really be concerned of. So I'd still like those names. What were they doing? And what did they naively give themselves over to? What were they involved in? Someone like, an example that I can think of, Chandra Arya, going down to meet with Modi of India. Likely didn't go down to go and do foreign interference, but his position in the Liberal Party could potentially have been an opportunity for India to impact processes here in Canada. Or then we obviously had the situation with Han Dong, who was then cast out of the Liberal Party. So just would simply be curious of what these instances look like and how we can address them. And that's the part that really kind of concerned me, was the fact that we're just kind of brushing these under the rug and moving on. Like, oh yeah, there was no one who was actively trying to work against the interests of Canada, so we just got forget about it. We keep moving forward. And so for me, I'm like, not so fast. Not really interested. I'm more so interested in kind of hearing more about that. But the other piece of it that I thought was interesting, pieces like this, which was a direct quote that Kevin Vong shared from the report, saying a foreign government undertook several actions, including interference, to reduce the election chances of a specific federal Liberal Party candidate because it was suspected the candidate's policies were contrary to the state's interests. These are things we would like to know more about. We know it's a long report. Maybe it's in there. Need to take more time to read through it, and we'll continue reading and finding out in the coming days if this was detailed at all. Something tells me it's not. But China, Russia, to a degree India, are very interested in what's going on here. And we need to show up our process here, especially the idea of just kind of putting it under the rug of, there were some nomination races and some local elections that were impacted, but nothing on the federal level, so we're all good. No. We need to talk about the things that lead up to the general election, like the nomination races, like leadership races. When the checks and balances of who can vote in those things is sketchy at best, we need to figure out who is trying to impact these elections, like what we have right now with the Liberal Party of Canada. We have a handful of candidates who are ready to go, locked and loaded. How do we know foreign interference is not being applied to this campaign? Because we think too, Bill C-70, which was introduced over the summer to address foreign interference, the goal of the bill was to tighten processes for CSIS, tighten processes at the federal level, with addressing potential foreign interference going on within the country. And it was incumbent upon those who are running in these races to notify CSIS, notify the government, of any interactions that they may have with foreign countries. As one piece of the bill discusses, disclosure of foreign interference. The bill mandates individuals or entities to disclose arrangements with any foreign principals, including those from allied nations, if these arrangements are aimed at influencing Canadian political or governmental processes. And this kind of hit a bell for us here at LFA Podcast. Could Carney's appearance on The Daily Show be considered foreign interference? Yes, their direct intentions weren't to skew or influence the party race, but it sure gave Carney a leg up and sure gave America a voice into liberal electoral processes. Because shortly after that, even though he didn't formally announce, he still went on that show with the intention of directing attention to that he was going to be running in the liberal leadership race. And then shortly after that, he shored up all this support amongst the liberal cabinet, and now he's off to the races. And so the question is, does that at all fly in the face of Bill C-70? Could Carney be violating Bill C-70? That's a question we have. We know that even if there was a chance that was happening, we wouldn't hear anything about it because we know how this works. He has the power. He is the king of that party now, even though he's not been voted in. He's the guy. They all want him. At least in terms of the current internal party, they all want him. So they're not going to check into any foreign interference with him. Look into that whole situation. That was kind of weird to informally announce that you were running for liberal leadership race on American networks and then use the platform of an American network to influence what's happening here in Canada. That could fall under foreign interference, even though it's with an ally. And the bill stipulates, even if it's with an ally, you need to detail what has been going on and how that's impacting. And the last thing from the foreign interference I'm curious of is Hogue detailing about how terribly the government dealt with this whole situation. She said specifically that the government didn't get out in front of this. They actually tried to push it under the rug until the media kept talking about it over and over again, making it a bigger and bigger issue. And then the narrative was dictated by the media and people were asking questions like, what the heck is going on? And so many different things and went after different rabbit holes. And then Trudeau had to come out and be like, well, this, that, we got to do an inquiry into this. All of a sudden, he was all on board with trying to dig into this stuff, but it took pulling his teeth on it. And Hogue details that. She's like, why were we hearing from the media on this long before the government did? That's an issue. We need to address that. The government needs to do a better job with communicating with the citizens about the issues of national security. Kind of a basic function of a federal government responsibility that, alas, this one's never been focused on. And so I go back to my prior point to finish this off. I think back to Hogue talked about here, people were acting naively, push it all under the rug, which flies in the face of what I was hearing months ago from the likes of Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, Elizabeth May, about all the names that are Conservative Party members that Poilievre needs to get a security clearance and deal with this stuff. And they drummed up all of these crazy conspiracies that got their base going and pushed it on Poilievre, the Conservatives. And so that's my question. Which one is it? Was it that big of an issue as Jagmeet and Trudeau and Elizabeth May made it out to be? Or is it minimized, as Hogue suggests it was? Which one is it? I'd be very curious. All I know at the end of the day, no names dropped, kind of a nothing burger. And now we'll just have to see what happens as members react to this news. Those on the left, not stoked about the results. Those on the right are kind of like, meh, shrug my shoulders on it. But there are pieces of it that I will be watching and will be curiously dissecting as the days go on here. Because I think it is important to remember all the hype that was brought up in the House of Commons. And Poilievre not getting a security clearance, not caring about Canada, then getting this report from Hogue. Either it was really, really bad, as Trudeau, Singh, and May made it out to be, or they were just MPs acting in naive fashions. And even if that's the case and there was no criminal activity, we'd still like to know who they were and what they did, whether Conservative, NDP, Liberal, Green Party, what have you. We just want to know. A little bit more transparency than that would be helpful. So we'll see what happens. But I'll be watching, continue to take all this in, see what goes on from here. But right now, as it stands, we don't know much more than what we did before the report dropped, which unfortunately was something we kind of expected to happen. There's some pieces here and there, and we'll keep digging in on those. But have yourselves a good one. I'm out.